So apparently, Will Byers coming out as gay in the Stranger Things finale came out of nowhere. Who would have seen it coming? Okay, I'm gonna be honest. If you believe that, you weren't watching the show, or you were watching it while actively ignoring everything that made you uncomfortable. Because this wasn't subtle, this wasn't new, and it definitely wasn't Netflix pushing any kind of or forcing any kind of agenda. This has been baked into Stranger Things, I want to say since season one? If you've been watching Stranger Things closely, especially through the eyes of Vecna and how fear works in this show, this reveal actually makes perfect sense. Let's set the stage, okay? Season 5, Episode 7, we're in the thick of it. Will stands up not just in front of Mike, but in front of Joyce, Jonathan, everybody, and he drops the armor. But let's stop pretending this was some kind of last minute twist. Will is introduced in Episode 1 as the kid who's different from the rest of the group. Not quirky different, not sensitive kid different. He's targeted, he's isolated, he's called slurs, and the show makes you understand why without spelling it out like a children's book. If you missed that, that's not subtle writing, that's selective blindness. From season 1, Will isn't just a victim of circumstances here. He's emotionally alone in the way the others aren't, especially when 11 comes in, Max comes in, and just really starts to disrupt the group. The look Mike gives him here, that's the clocking moment. The doofers confirmed it themselves. Mike finally gets it. And the audience should also have gotten it. That's what makes the scene brilliant. It's the timing as well. Because why now, right? Why, when the world is ending, do we stop for a coming out speech? Here's where that complaint just falls apart completely. Vecna doesn't attack the mentally strong, okay? He attacks people carrying shame, people who are afraid of being seen, people who hate themselves for whatever reason. Because in this show, secrets are ammunition. This is where the film history nerd in me really gets excited, because if you think about Vecna, right? Then think about Pennywise, think about Freddy Krueger. What do they all have in common? They feed on fear. Vecna's whole shtick is isolating you. He finds the thing you hate about yourself, the secret you're keeping, and he turns it into a weapon. For Max, it was her guilt about Billy. For Will, it was the closet. That's not politics, that's a basic storytelling. For 5 seasons, Will has been the ultimate victim because he was hiding. That silence created a void that the Mind Flayer and Vecna could fill. As long as Will was terrified of his friends knowing who he really was, Vecna had a hook in his psyche. By coming out, by speaking the thing he was most afraid of into existence in front of the people whose rejection he feared the most, he disarmed the villain. He took away the leverage. It's classic horror logic. You defeat the monster by dragging it into the light. Will didn't just come out, he severed the psychic link that relied on his fear. I don't even understand why people don't get this. It's not rocket surgery. Look, season 1, Joyce talking about Lonnie, what was that person's name? Calling Will distant slurs. The rainbow ship drawing, he was codified as queer before we even knew what that meant for the show. Season 2, he's a zombie boy. He's the other, the freak, the boy who isn't normal, all of which pointing to this very thing. Season 3, the argument in the rain with Mike. It's not my fault you don't like girls. That line hits like a truck. Season 4, the van scene, the painting. Hold up, I want to pause on that painting for a second as well from season 4. Will makes Mike the heart, the leader, completely erasing himself to uplift the boy that he's in love with. It's pretty sad, it's pretty tragic, but in this finale, Will finally puts himself in the narrative. He stops being the observer of everyone else's love story. Okay, so let's move on to the word people are using, forced. A lot of this forced is happening out there in the Twitter space especially. Nothing about Will's arc was rushed. Nothing about it contradicts the story. Nothing about it changed the plot. It just confirms something that was already there, reinforcing ideas we already knew of. And if confirmation feels like an attack to you, that says more about you than it does about the writers. So why does this matter? Because Stranger Things has always been a show about growing up. And for a kid like Will growing up in the 80s, the scariest thing wasn't the Demogorgons or whatever they're called. It was the possibility that if people really knew you, they wouldn't love you. And Vecna bet on that fear, exploited that fear, and profited off of that fear. Will's coming out removes Vecna's power over him. shame, no secrets, no internal fear to exploit. That's not activism, that's character resolution. That's writing. So no, Stranger Things didn't change. You just stopped pretending you didn't see it because by him literally saying it out loud, you had no choice but to acknowledge that it was there, and it makes you uncomfortable because you realize, heck, has this always been there? Will's coming out wasn't a twist, it was a payoff. And if that upsets you, maybe the show isn't the thing you understood it to be. But hell, that's my take on what's been going on up till now. Whether you like it or not, the plot point about him being gay, that's fine. You don't have to like it. But then to say that it has no relevance to the plot and that it was forced, that's just ignorance and stupidity. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to comment, like, share this out, and until next time, what's the best recent film you've seen?